What is up, Mouse fam? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at my personal favorite park in all of Walt Disney World, Animal Kingdom. We're going to be ranking all 9 of their rides and attractions. So join me as we take a look at every single attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. Let's jump into it. For those of you that have seen my ranking video of all 6 domestic Disney parks, link right above, you'll know that Disney's Animal Kingdom is my favorite theme park at Walt Disney World. The thing that makes it my favorite is the ambiance and the aesthetic. It's a breathtakingly beautiful theme park. Besides that though, Disney's Animal Kingdom does have an incredible lineup of rides and attractions. If you take into account walkthroughs, shows, and animal encounters, the park has over 30 attractions. However, today we're just going to be ranking the attractions that have a wait time and are listed on the official Disney app. That means our list will not be including Primeval Whirl, which is officially closed, the Carnival Games or the Boneyard at Dinoland USA, Animal Experience at Rafiki's Planet Watch, nor any of the animal encounters, live shows, or walking trails. If you included all those experiences, you've had over 30 rides and attractions like I said, but today we're just going to be focusing on the main 9 rides at the park. Coming in at number 9, by far for me in last place, Triceratops Spin. Personally, Triceratops Spin is one of my least favorite attractions in all of Walt Disney World. I'm not a hater of spinner rides or kid rides. I'm actually a proponent of spinner rides, and I think kid rides are essential to any Disney theme park. But Triceratops Spin misses the mark on both of these in my opinion. First of all, the attraction is incredibly unappealing looks-wise, especially in a park as gorgeous as Animal Kingdom. Dinoland USA just in general does not look good, and Triceratops Spin is at the top of that list. It's a loosely themed attraction, which is just super rare for Disney and super rare for Animal Kingdom in general. It looks like a ride you'd find at your local fair, and I know that's kind of what they're going for with the theming, but that doesn't excuse how bad of a ride this is. Because Dinoland USA is so bad, there's not a whole lot of incentive to go back to that area of the park. So Triceratops Spin isn't even a crowd eater, which is usually a good plus for a spinner ride. When you combine ugly looks, a bad theme, and a low capacity ride, you just get a bad attraction. I'm honestly biased towards this ride because the last time I was at Animal Kingdom with my wife, the park was about to close. We had 2 options, get ice cream or ride Triceratops Spin. I told my wife we could do both if we rode Triceratops Spin first. We could not. My wife did not get her ice cream and I had to sleep on the couch that night. So for that reason, Triceratops Spin comes in last place. Coming in at number 8, the Wildlife Express Train. This is an entry I think is actually pretty underrated as an attraction. Most out-of-state guests don't even know the Wildlife Express Train exists, and most locals just ignore it and don't go on it. Now, one of the main downsides to this attraction is when you ride it over to Rafiki's Planet Watch, you're basically stuck there. The only way to get back to Animal Kingdom proper is back on the train. There is no walkway or anything like that to connect the 2 parts, just the train. So for that reason, it's not very practical and the lines can get pretty long. Besides that though, it does have a lot of pros going for it. The ride gives you beautiful views of Animal Kingdom that you're not going to find anywhere else. Train takes you backstage, which is a rarity at most Disney parks for the average guest. So that's a huge bump for this ride. The last time my wife and I rode it, we rode it right as a baby rhino had just been born at the park. It was the 3rd day the rhino had been born. It was beautiful and just was an incredible sight to see. It was one of the coolest Disney experiences we've had, and you're just not going to find that most places. I also really love trains. I think trains are quintessential to most Disney parks or just transportation in general, whether that be monorails or boats. And Animal Kingdom just doesn't have any of that. Now, if they could find a way to make this ride more efficient and more practical in terms of connecting Rafiki's Planet Watch with Animal Kingdom proper, I think it would bump up a lot higher on this list and be a must-do attraction. But because it's just not very practical and there's not very many exciting elements to the train besides the backstage areas, that does knock the ride down. It's a great queue and a fun experience, but overall not very practical. That brings us to number 7. It's Tough to Be a Bug. Just like the last entry, this is another attraction that I feel is a bit underrated. I feel like a lot of people, especially diehard Disney fans and locals, really just hate on this attraction and just kind of make it the butt of the joke. But I actually think It's Tough to Be a Bug is a really good show. I'm a big fan of park icons having attractions within them, and that's exactly what It's Tough to Be a Bug gives you with the Tree of Life. So I think that uniqueness makes it stand out. Obviously, it's great for kids and adults alike. You probably don't want to take kids 5 and under because it can get a bit scary. So it's not amazing in that regard, but I do think that adds to the charm of the ride. It has some great effects. Not every effect is held up. It's over 20 years old, so not all the effects have held up, but it still has some really fun gags. I also love that It's Tough to Be a Bug gives a Bug's Life representation in a Disney park. With a Bug's Land being taken out at DCA, there's basically no Bug's Life representation in the parks besides this ride, so I think that also really helps it as well. While it's not a great attraction in the grand scheme of things, the fact that it's a niche family ride in a park that doesn't have a lot of family attractions really bumps this ride up, and I think it is a fun show for the entire family. Number 6, the first attraction that's going to get me a lot of hate here, Dinosaur. Honestly, I almost put this attraction lower on the list, but I'm going to try and be objective here. Personally, I don't really like the ride experience on Dinosaur. Overall, I think it's a fine attraction. It has a solid queue, the ride system is obviously top notch, and it adds a much needed dark ride to Animal Kingdom, with a pretty awesome overarching theme of dinosaurs. Where I think this ride fails though is the fact that it's the exact same ride layout as Indy and Disneyland with the same ride system, while being vastly inferior to Indy in basically every way. This wouldn't be a big deal if Dinosaur could hold its own in terms of pacing, theme, aesthetics, but it drops the ball on all of those compared to Indiana Jones. I do think that if Dinosaur got some TLC and got some money poured into it, it could be a top-notch attraction, not just at Animal Kingdom, but Walt Disney World in general. It has a great theme and ride system already in place. It just needs a refurb badly. Right now, as it sits, the potential is there, but it's just an average dark ride with a great ride system and below average effects, pacing, and story. That brings us into the top 5, Cali River Rapids. I'm a lot higher probably on Cali River Rapids than the average guest. I do fully agree with the main criticism of this ride. The on-ride experience is way too short. You want river rides to be long and adventurous and just feel like you're going on a journey or a trek, and Cali River Rapids does not give you that at all. I fully agree with that criticism in every way. But besides that, I feel like this attraction has a lot going for it. It has one of the best queues in all of Walt Disney World. It adds fantastic kinetic energy in the Asia part of Animal Kingdom, especially as you're walking around that land. It gives you pretty solid thrill overall, and it's not too difficult to get on as long as it's not the middle of the summer. Another pro I think Cali River Rapids has going for it is how much you get wet and how much you don't get wet. I'm a big fan of the effect of splashing people on rides, but I also hate getting soaked at a Disney theme park. The times I've ridden Cali River Rapids, you get the perfect middle ground between those two. Not too wet, but still splashed. Overall, I might be a bit biased with this ride, but I'm a huge theme guy and I'm a huge queue guy, and Cali River Rapids delivers on both of these. It could be a much better attraction with a longer ride layout and an updated story, but for now, it's still a good attraction. Number 4, Na'vi River Journey. Continuing with the trend of this entire list, this is another attraction that I think gets way too much undeserved hate. There's a lot of wide-ranging opinions on Na'vi River Journey. Personally, I think it's super underrated. Just like Cali, one of the main complaints here is ride length. People often complain that Na'vi is just way too short. And while I do agree that it probably should be longer than it is, I don't really understand the complaints that it's like extremely short. It's over a 5-minute attraction from load to unload, and the pacing is fantastic on the ride. And unlike Cali River Rapids, it's not meant to be adventurous or thrilling really. It's just meant to be a soothing family dark ride with great pacing and incredible effects, and that's what it delivers on. This is also a ride that Animal Kingdom vastly needed. There aren't basically any family dark rides in the park, and this gives you that. Now, it did have a lot of its budget cut due to Flight of Passage going over budget, and so that definitely hurts the ride a lot. I understand that criticism, and it does stink. On top of that, it's certainly not worth a 50, 60, even 70-minute wait that this ride can command sometimes. But if you can just get it with a 15 to 20-minute wait in the morning or at night or with a fast pass, this is a perfect family dark ride. It also has incredible ambiance. It really just adds to the entire Pandora land in general. Overall, it's a breathtaking piece of Imagineering with, in my opinion, an addicting soundtrack and one of the most jaw-dropping animatronics in all of Walt Disney World. So for those reasons, it comes in at number 4. That brings us into the top 3. Now, all 3 of these could make the case for number 1. All 3 of these could headline basically any Disney theme park, and I think it would hold its own. But we have to rank them still. Coming in number 3, Kilimanjaro Safaris. I love the safaris. I think there's so much going for the safaris. The number 1 best thing about it is the re-rideability. You could ride this ride 5, 10, 15 times. Every single time you're going to ride it, it's going to be different. It'll be different in the morning. It'll be different at dusk. It'll be different at nighttime. It'll be different if it's raining or if it's super hot out. It's just an incredible ride. It also feels extremely adventurous. The fact that you're not on a track, the fact that if it rains and the path gets wet, the Jeeps are just trekking through it. It's just really cool. It feels off-roading, adventurous. The other great thing about this attraction is if this was not at Animal Kingdom, it probably would be a $20 to $30 experience to get this ride with all these different animals, all these different places you're going. So for that reason, I think Kilimanjaro Safaris is an amazing ride. The reason it doesn't come higher is because obviously you can find this experience at other places. I don't think it's going to be as good as this experience, but it's not super unique in that regard, but still an incredible, incredible attraction. Coming in at number 2, Flight of Passage. Now this could basically be 1B. You could make the argument this is the best attraction at Animal Kingdom. You can make the argument this is the best attraction at all of Walt Disney World, and I'm probably going to agree with you. Flight of Passage has so much going for it. The best thing is its rewritability. Honestly, as a Disneyland local who frequents Disneyland often, some attractions just kind of get, not boring, but just don't get as exciting anymore when you ride them. Flight of Passage, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th time, still just as breathtaking as the 2nd or 3rd time. It also has extremely high rideability for families. The older generations can go on it, the kids can go on it. The height requirement is pretty low for a thrill ride, so that's great. It has great thrill, it has great scenes, it has great 4D effects, it has one of the best queues on property. There's just not a whole lot you can say bad about Flight of Passage. One of the most breathtaking experiences in any Disney park, and by far the best screen ride you will find at any theme park. That brings us to number 1, the best ride at Animal Kingdom, and in my personal opinion, the best ride at all of Walt Disney World, Expedition Everest. Now I'm going to talk about the cons first because I think there's only basically 1 or 2 cons for this ride. Number 1, it doesn't have great rideability for the entire family. A lot of the older generation and a lot of the kids cannot ride this ride, so that does knock it down a tiny bit. And also, obviously, the elephant in the room, or the Yeti in the room, is the broken animatronic towards the end of the ride. Disco Yeti, as it's now called, because it's in B mode. That's a big bummer and honestly does stink. If that Yeti does ever end up getting fixed, it'll just put this already number 1 ride even more over the top. Now let's talk about the pros. This ride is so incredibly well themed. This might be the most well themed attraction from start to finish you will ever find in a theme park, at least in the United States. From the moment you walk into the land, you see Expedition Everest roaming in the distance, and as you get closer and closer, the theme just builds up. From the restaurants to the shops to the little carts to everything. The second you step foot into the land, all the way through the queue, all the way from the ride into the exit gift shop, it's just perfectly themed. This ride also is extremely photogenic. You can get photos of it from everywhere. The on-ride photo is always amazing and hilarious. The thrill is obviously fantastic. It's a pretty long experience for a coaster. It's extremely comfortable. I could go on for hours about why I love this ride, but personally, I think it is the best ride in Walt Disney World, the best ride in Animal Kingdom, and one of my favorite roller coasters I have ever ridden. So for that reason, Expedition Everest comes in at number 1. All right, guys, that is our list. Let me know down in the comments what you agree with, and especially what you disagree with. I know I'm going to get a lot of disagreements on this video, especially with Dinosaur and probably Navi River Journey as well. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Ranking the Mouse to join the discussion. We have a lot of great discussions over there. You can come tell me what you agree with, what you disagree with. Some of my friends on Twitter are going to give me some hate for Dinosaur. I'm excited for the conversation. You guys can also like and subscribe to the video down below. That would really help the channel out. And until next time, peace.